Hello there. Today I'm here to kinda of an MDJ, but not quite. I will call it MDJ anyways because I want to call it this way. And today I will be reading a part of Alice in Wonderland. And in fact, I want to practice my reading this part of this book. I will read. Um, let's establish a number of one, two, three, four, five pages, or yeah, one, two, 4 pages. 4 pages seems enough. So I want to let me take here. I want to make um my English speaking practice more diverse so I can, you know, use more the language in multiple ways, in multiple forms. So it's quite interesting because I found a video today talking about 5 ways to improve your speaking, and one of them was to read out loud. So I will do that on this video. So let us begin. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversations? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies, when suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, "Oh dear, I shall be late." When she thought it all over afterward, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this, but at the time it all seemed quite natural. But when rabbit, isn't it? The rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket and looked at it, and then hurried on. Alice started to her feet, for it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either waistcoat pocket or a watch to take out of it, and burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and fortunately was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under the edge. In another moment thou went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way, and then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her and to wonder what was going to happen next. First, she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well, and she noticed that they are filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung, hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed it. It was labeled orange marmalade. But to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody, so managed to put it on one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they all think me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house, which was very likely true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never come to an end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the center of the earth. Let me see. That will be 4,000 miles down, I think. For you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lessons in the schoolroom, and thought there was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her. Still, it was good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about the right distance. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice had no idea what latitude was, or longitude either, but thought they were nice grand words to say. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through that. How funny it will seem to come out among the people that walk with the heads downward. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening this time, as it didn't sound at all the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is. You know? Please, man, is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to courtesy as she spoke fancy, courtesying as you falling through the air. Do you think you could manage it? And what an ignorant little girl she will think me for asking. No, it will never to it will never do to ask to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began talking again. Dinah miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dinah was the cat. I hope they all remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in there, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that's very like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself in a dreamy sort of way, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes, do bats eat cats? For you see, as she couldn't answer either questions, it didn't much matter which way she put it. She felt that she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah, and saying to her very earnestly, now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat? When suddenly, thump, thump, down she came upon a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped on to her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting!" She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen. She found herself in a long, long hall which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all round the hall, but they were all locked, and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked steadily down the middle, wondering how she was ever to get out again. Suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it except a tiny golden key, and Alice's that first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall. But, alas, either the locks were too large or the key was too small. But at any rate it would not open any of them. However, on the second time round she came up a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight it fitted. Alice opened the door and found that it led into a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. She kneeled down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. How she longed to get out of that dark hall, and wander about among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not ever get he ever not she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think I could if I only knew how to begin. For you see, so many out of the way things had happened lately that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. This time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not here before, said Alice, and round the neck of the bottle was a paper label with the words "Drink me" beautifully printed on it in large letters. It was all very well to say "Drink me," but the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. "No, I will look first," she said, "and see whether it marked poison or not." For she had read several nice little stories about children who had got burnt and eaten up by wild beasts, and other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember the simple rules their friends had taught them, such as that a red-hot poker will burn you if you hold it too long, and that if you cut your finger very deeply with a knife it usually bleeds, and she had never forgot that. If you drink much from a bottle marked poison, it's almost certain to disagree with you sooner or later. Well, I think it was a great practice. The muscles of my mouth are very well. They are like almost aching because I read it all out loud, and I'm trying to apply the phonemes that I know already, that I know how to. I think I'm learning to know how to pronounce, but it was quite a good practice, I would say, quite a good speaking practice. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I just want to finish this video talking about those strategies that I saw in this video. Well, there were five strategies. The first one was shadowing and how you should shadow in order to improve in English. The second one was read out loud, as I did now, choosing a book. I have here some books in English. I actually have one, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, I think I have six books here. This is one of them, Alice in Wonderland. I've read it already, but I haven't read it out loud. I've just read it um, in my head, you know. So I think if I keep reading it, it will improve my English certainly. Um, it is very funny. I would say that Alice in Wonderland is a very funny book that I quite enjoy, to be honest. And it's very great uh, how Lewis Carroll talks and writes about it. It's very impressive, actually. So uh, I wish I had a more structured English speaking plan, and I will probably be organizing it following those. Oh, I didn't set the five recommendations, right? So those first two to read out loud and also to shadowing. There were also uh, the visualization of information of a specific situation. So let's say I imagine that I am on a very niche and specific situation, and I act as if I was in this situation. That's the fourth, and there is the fifth. I said fifth. I said the fourth. No, I said three. Right? Visualization, read books out loud, shadowing. The fourth is on to sing along with with songs that you enjoy, and do that often. I find it quite a good strategy as well. It seems very great to me. Uh, those four are the ones. And we also have the fifth one, which is to practice talking with, memorizing it, and talking with and reciting poems and monologues from some source. Uh, maybe classic, maybe more modern in a movie, let's say it, but it is like that. The five topics, the five recommendations that this teacher has gave into his video. It seems to me that they are very solid, and with all these five plus the strategy of just talking alone, like I'm doing now, is explaining some idea, and like not necessarily thinking into any situation specifically, but more focused on the on to talk like a journal. I think with this six strategies, it may be very well to do my speaking practice. I was thinking on do one practice per day. So let's say in the Sunday, actually let's say in the Monday, I started by doing shadowing. In the Tuesday, I do read a part of a book. In the Tuesday, I choose another thing. Let's say um, in the Tuesday, let's say I do shadowing. Is it shadowing? Yeah. Let's say no, I said shadowing, but the third is to sing along. In the fourth, I choose like some poem or something to say, or in the etc. You guys got my idea, but that seems rather ineffective. I will do maybe I think the practice of reading plus speaking freely plus uh, like in one day I think that I could talk. I could do my MDJ as I usually do. Plus, I could do this this strategy of take a book. Now I would keep reading Alice in Wonderland. And third would be shadowing, but that I wouldn't do while recording, at least not primarily. And maybe let's say someday I would take this instead of um, keep reading a book, I could try to memorize a poem and those kind of stuff. But I think those are great ideas that I will keep in mind. But it's great to have some diversity. But I think the act to read out loud is a very important one, and I enjoy to do this today. But also to talk as I'm doing now, it's very important. So that's it. I think. I hope you guys enjoy it. Have enjoyed it, and see you guys later. That's it. Bye.